Hello, dear Jamila. How are you, Jamila? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my dear. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hurry up, guys, to join our stream, guys. Tapping the screen and sharing the live stream, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for joining my stream. I have to love to see you here, guys. Double tapping on the screen to share the live manner. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. How is your day? I am right, Jamila. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining us stream, my dear. How is your day going, my dear? Thank you so much. I am just adjusting my goal, my dear. Just give me a while, then I will write the name of the everyone. Jamili, how is your day going, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Just give me a while, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Have a lot of respect of your joining us. Jamie, where are you from watching, Jamie? Mika Asturian, please. Yeah, I will write your name, my dear. Where are you from watching, Jamie? Just give me a while, my dear. I am trying to adjusting the light of my mobile screen. Aston, how are you, Aston? How are you, pretty Aston? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Aston. Where are you from watching, my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Nasarine, how are you, Nasarine? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Nasarine. How are you, Nasarine? Kale, how are you, Kale? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Len, how are you, Len? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Len. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel, guys, and appreciate my stream and appreciate all the hard work, guys. Hi, Kylie, how are you, Kylie? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Where are you from watching, pretty Kylie? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Mitchell, how are you, pretty Mitchell? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Mitchell, pretty Mitchell. Nasarine, how are you, pretty Nasarine? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Nasarine. Ayo, how are you, pretty Ayo? Thank you so much for joining my stream, mania. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, double tapping on the screen, guys, to appreciate my stream, guys. Thank you so much for watching the screen, pretty Nasarine. Grace, pretty Grace, how are you, Grace? Thank you so much for watching my stream, my love. How are you, Grace? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Grace. Hurry up, guys, double tapping on the screen to share the live stream. And I want to know from the Ari and the Lolly audience, where are you from watching the screen, guys? And appreciate my live stream, guys. Thank you so much for watching my stream. Mitchell Jackson, Anna, how are you, Anna? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Anna. Mitchell Jackson, I write you a name, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mitchell Jackson. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Mitchell Jackson. How are you, my dear? Massey, how are you, Massey? Thank you so much for joining my pretty Massey. How are you, pretty Massey? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Muhammad, how are you, pretty Muhammad? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Muhammad. Hurry up, guys, to join my stream, make the like and subscribing the channel. Dana, how are you, pretty Dana? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Dana. I respect of your joining. Yeah, guys, pretty Jaden, how are you, pretty Jaden? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Jaden. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Pretty Jaden. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat guys. Make the like and subscribing the channel. Anne, how are you Anne? Thank you so much for joining. Pretty Anne, where are you from? Watching my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Farah, how are you for Pretty Farah? Thank you so much for watching my stream. Where are you from? Watching Pretty Farah. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Mala, I respect of you joining my stream. Right guys, double tapping on the screen guys. Make the like and subscribing the channel. I want to know from our audience, where are you from? Watching the screen. Hurry up guys to make the like and subscribing the channel. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Right, Rana, how are you Pretty Rana? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Shalova, how are you Pretty Shalova? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yeah guys, double tapping on the screen guys. Yalas, how are you Pretty Yalas? Where are you from? Watching Pretty Yalas. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Pretty Yalas. Where are you from? Watching my dear? I'm good. Thank you so much. Where are you from? Watching Shaloa? Where are you from? Watching my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat guys. Danara, how are you Danara? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Danara. Where are you from? Watching my love. Hurry up guys, double tapping on the screen guys. Mara, how are you Mara? Where are you from? Watching my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Pretty Mala, how are you Pretty Mala? Thank you so much for joining my dear. Yeah, alright my dear. Thank you so much for joining. Deloy, how are you my dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Sana, how are you Pretty Sana? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hurry up guys to make the like and subscribing the channel. Hurry up guys to write your name in the chat guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up guys, thank you so much for joining to the stream guys. How are you Pretty Sana? Thank you so much for watching my stream. Thank you so much guys. Where are you from? Watching my dear? I really appreciate and respect of your joining. Yeah guys, I have to respect of you joining my stream. I really appreciate and respect of you joining to the stream, my dear. Hurry up guys to make the like and subscribing the channel. I want to know from our audience, where are you from? Watching the screen guys. Sarah, how are you Sarah? Thank you so much for joining Pretty Sarah. I have to respect of you joining my stream, manner. Aliza, how are you Pretty Aliza? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Jody, how are you Pretty Jody? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Farah, how are you Farah? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Pretty Farah. How are you my dear? Thank you so much for joining. Cyrus, how are you Pretty Cyrus? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. Hunter, how are you Pretty Hunter? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Pretty Hunter. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mala. Leah, how are you Pretty Leah? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mania. Hurry up guys to make the like and subscribing the channel. How are you Pretty Tabarak? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Double tapping the screen guys, make the like and subscribing the channel. And I have to want to know from the array and the lolly audience, where are you from watching the screen? Jayon, how are you, Jayon? Thank you so much for joining my stream. I have to respect of you joining my dear. Hunter, thank you so much for joining my dear. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. Hi, Marlena. How are you, Marlena? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Marlena. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for watching my screen. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for watching my screen. How are you, pretty Marlena? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Marla. Naze, how are you, pretty Naze? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Naze. I really appreciate and respect of you joining my stream. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream, manner. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hi, Push Corey. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Taron, how are you, Taron? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Taron. How are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. Isabella, how are you, Isabella? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Isabella. I really appreciate. Where are you from watching, pretty Isabella? Thank you so much for joining. Riley, how are you, pretty Riley? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Riley. I really appreciate if you're joining to the stream, manner. Thank you so much for watching my screen. Coco, how are you, pretty Coco? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Coco. Aliza, how are you, pretty Aliza? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Aliza. I really appreciate if you're joining. Remy, how are you, pretty Remy? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Remy. Elias, how are you, pretty Elias? Thank you so much for joining my stream, manner. I have to respect after joining to the stream. Jassy, how are you, pretty Jassy? Thank you so much for joining my stream, manner. Mona, how are you, pretty Mona? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Mona. Alian, how are you, pretty Alian? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Alian. I have to respect after joining my live. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Sapranky, how are you, pretty Sapranky? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, manner. I have a lot of respect of you joining. Coco, how are you, pretty Coco? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Coco. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Sana, how are you, pretty Sana? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Harry, how are you, Harry? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Harry. I really appreciate if you're joining to the stream, my love. Thank you so much. Sarah, how are you, pretty Sarah? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Sarah. I really appreciate if you're joining my stream. Hurry up, guys, make the like and subscribing the channel, to write your name in the chat. Darlana, how are you, Darlana? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Darlana. I really appreciate. Salma, how are you, Salma? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, dear Salma. Yeah, guys, double tapping on the screen, guys. Siraj, how are you, pretty Siraj? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Siraj. Where are you from watching my north? Thank you so much for joining. Hello, Pravis. How are you, Pravis? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my near. I have to respect if you are joining my near. Where are you from watching, Pravis? Yeah, I'm going to write your name of the Pravis. Thank you so much for joining my dear. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. How are you, pretty hunter? Thank you so much for joining my stream. I really appreciate, guys. Hurry up to double tapping on the screen, guys, and share my stream with your friend so they have to join the stream. Hurry up, guys. I write the name of the pretty hunter. Hurry up to write the next name in the screen, guys. I have to respect of your joining to the stream. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hi, pretty Nancy. How are you, Nancy? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. How are you, Nancy? Thank you so much for joining. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Avery, how are you, pretty Avery? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. Reva, how are you, Reva? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Reva. Raj, how are you, pretty Raj? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. Harry, how are you, Harry? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Harry. I have to respect of your joining. Saf, how are you, Saf? Pretty Saf, thank you so much for joining. Cocky, how are you, pretty Cocky? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my dear. Yeah, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys, and also drop the flag of your country. Hi, pretty Winter. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Caloric, how are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Caloric, how are you, pretty Caloric? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Jack, how are you, Jack? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Jack. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Addie K, how are you, Addie K? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Addie K. How are you? I really appreciate of you joining to the stream. Adele, how are you, Adele? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Vinita, how are you, Vinita? Thank you so much for joining, pretty Winnet. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mania. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Seniority, how are you, Seniority? Thank you so much, pretty Seniority. Where are you from? Watching Mania. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Severity. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mala. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Kolia, how are you, Mala? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Mala. I have to respect after joining to the stream. Yeah, guys, Adore, how are you, pretty Adore? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Mala. I respect after joining. I finally got my name on here. Time to subscribe to the first person. Thank you so much for subscribing. Jessica, can you do a super chat on our stream, my dear, please? Julie, how are you, pretty Julie? Thank you so much for joining my stream, pretty Julie. Where are you from watching, pretty Julie? Amar Ledo, how are you, Amar Ledo? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Amar Ledo. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys, and do super chat on our stream, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. I wish I will really do not know how to do it. I'm just in sincerity to right now. Yeah, click on my goal, my dear. Click on my goal. You will be showing there. I'll do a super chat. Yeah, click on my goal. Out there you'll be showing a money icon. Click on the money icon and you will do a super chat. If you wanted to complete my goal, you should click on my goal, my dear, to do by the goal. And if you do a random any chat, to click on the money icon to do a super chat by the random click. And yeah, there you'll be showing, having the left corner, you will be showing, my dear. Alia, how are you, Alia? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Alia. I really appreciate of you joining to the stream, Manir. Thank you so much, guys. Jessica are going to do a super chat on our stream, guys. Thank you so much, Jessica. You are very, very pretty. Thank you so much, my lovely honey, to making a donation on our stream. You know the donation is the donation is like the reward of the host. I'm going to try to send you something. Let me see here. Thank you, Jessica. I will also write your name with a different color of the pen. Thank you so much, my love. God bless you, good health, and as you have to live long, my dear. And also God give you a more success on her life, my lovely honey. Thank you so much, sweetheart, for you, my dear. Thank you so much. Cupcake, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining, Cupcake. I will also give the blue off to the Jessica on my reward on my stream, guys. Yeah. Really, guys, and those person are very kind that have to support on our stream, guys. Thank you so much, guys, and also to make heart on our stream, guys, for the Jessica. Thank you so much. Aroha, how are you, Aroha? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Aroha. I have to love to see you, Aroha. Thank you. You are the best. Thank you, Kenya. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much. I really appreciate of your kind word, my dear. Yeah, that's a great. Thank you so much, my dear. Yeah, guys, making the like and subscribing the channel, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I really appreciate and respect of the every person have to watch my stream and make the like and subscribing the channel and also do support on my stream, guys. Yeah, Evan, how are you, pretty Evan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, pretty Evan. How are you, pretty Evan? Daniel, how are you, Daniel? Thank you so much, pretty Daniel. I really appreciate of you joining to the stream. Evan, I write your name on there. Thank you so much, Azrael. How are you, Azrael? Thank you so much for joining, Azrael. I really appreciate of you joining to the stream, Azrael. Thank you so much for joining my stream, Steven. How are you, Steven? Thank you so much for joining our stream, Steven. Nayan, how are you, Nayan? Thank you so much for putting Nayan. I respect of your joining. Lily, how are you, pretty Lily? Thank you so much for joining our stream, guys. To make heart for the Jessica, guys. Jessica is going to donating on our stream, guys. She is very kind. Nayan, how are you, pretty Nayan? Thank you so much for joining. Lily, I write your name, my love. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hi Lily, thank you so much for thank you so much for joining my stream, my love. Ayan, Anaya, how are you, Anaya? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Anaya. Sophia, how are you, Sophia? Thank you so much for joining our stream, Sophia. Where are you from watching, Sophia? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hurry up, guys. Today I got an old matter, a gold matter. Thank you so much, Jessica. You are very kind-hearted. God bless you. Good health, my dear. I'm gonna giving you a blue of our stream. Yeah, let me give you a blue of on my stream, my dear. You are very, very kind and lady on my stream. Really, you are very kind lady on our stream. You have to always join on my stream. Thank you. God bless you. And have to Malina. How are you, Malina? Thank you so much for joining our stream. Now you have to chat on my stream, Jessica. When you have just high on the screen, the blue of my stream will be shown on the screen, my dear. Marlena, how are you, Marlena? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Marlena. Rashid, hi Rashid. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Rashid. I really appreciate if you're joining to the stream, Rashid. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. To make the like and subscribing the channel and appreciate my hard work, guys. Yeah, and thank you so much for watching my screen, guys. I really appreciate it. Alena, how are you, Alena? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Alena. Right, guys. Salivia, how are you, Salivia? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Double tapping on the screen, guys. Yeah, double tapping on the screen and appreciate the stream, guys. I have to respect of your joining. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Elena, how are you, Elena? Thank you so much for watching my stream, Elena. Where are you from? Watching the screen, Elena. And this is my first ever live stream I have ever been able to get my names on your so kind, and God bless you. Thank you, Jessica. You are very kind lady, my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. I always give you a respect. Looks that I have to give you a believe of my stream. You are the first person I have to give you a believe of my on my stream, my dear. You know, yeah, I really appreciate of you joining, my dear. And also, God bless you too, dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much, guys. Double tapping on the screen. Jessica, you always join my stream. I will also give you a much more respect on our stream. And also, also, I have to really I appreciate and have to a lot of respect of your joining, my dear. Lemar, how are you, Lemar? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Lemar. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing my channel, guys, and appreciate my live stream, guys, to do a super chat on our stream. You may showing the time in the screen, guys, 3:40. Yeah, after 3 minutes, after 3 minutes, and the super chat after. And the goal has been to goes to end, guys, and to click on the goal and to do a super chat on my stream, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. I really appreciate and respect of your joining us. I am Seniority, the one of the just writing. I am watching from USA. Thank you so much. Thank you, Seniority. Thank you so much for watching from USA, Manir. Thank you so much, Serenity. Thank you so much for watching from USA, Manir. I'm going to write your name with the green pen also, my love. Let me write your name with the green pen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Elizabeth from USA. How are you, Elizabeth? Thank you so much for joining from USA. Elizabeth is a very kind lady. She always joins my stream. Elizabeth, how are you, dear? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Please, guys, to do a super chat on our stream, guys. Yeah, to make a donation on my stream, guys. It's a request from the Ari and the Lolly viewers. Please make a small donation on my stream. Elizabeth, you should also to do a super chat on our stream, my dear. You know you have to permanently join my stream. Yeah, thank you so much for joining my stream. Shale, how are you, Shale? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Shale. I am Emma. How are you, Emma? Emma is back, guys. Thank you, Emma. Thank you so much, Emma. You know, I was miss you, Emma. Thank you so much for joining our stream. Emma, how are you, my dear? Thank you so much for joining. Welcome back, Emma. Thank you so much for joining the stream, my dear. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, can you do a super chat on our stream, my dear? Thank you so much for joining our stream. Hurry up, guys. How are you, Emma? Thank you so much for joining our stream, my dear. Ashike, how are you, Ashike? Thank you so much for joining our stream, Ashike. Jessica, are you watching my stream, my dear? Hurry up, guys, to make the like. I am subscribed to you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Jessica, please do a super chat, my dear. Please do, and it's you must know to make, my dear, to make a small donation as much as you can. Please make a small donation on on my stream, my dear. I replied to your comment on your. Yeah, I did not. Yes, I am still here. I love your live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jessica. I have to love to see of watching you my stream. Thank you so much, Jessica. You are very kind lady, Jessica. Thank you so much for watching my stream, Jessica. Let me write the name of the Jessica with the green pin. Thank you. So I have to remind your name. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so much, Mala. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I really sorry I was not here for a long time. I was busy. No problem, my dear. You are my you are my brother. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Thank you so much. I love your handwriting. Thank you so much for appreciating, my dear. Thank you so much for appreciating. Thank you so much, my dear. Shale, thank you so much, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and the subscribing the channel, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Takwa, how are you, Takwa? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Takwa. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys, and watch the stream, and also to share your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Are you India? No, I'm from Pakistan, my dear. Thank you so much, guys. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. God bless you, and I hope everything goes well for you. Thank you so much. Inshallah, everything will be goes well. And thank you so much. And really, the US and the UK people also are very kind. They have to join my stream and watch and spread their loves on my stream. I really appreciate. I never forget the kindness of the US and the UK people. Oh, that's a really sweet and a nice for Yosika. Yeah, Emma, Yosika is our new member. She is a very supportive, as a very kind lady. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Yeah. Stirring so hard. Amelie, how are you, Amelie? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Amelie. I really appreciate of you joining, Amelie. Thank you so much for joining. Wow, you speak English so good, and thank you. No, my English is not well, my dear. I have to I have to a bit to talk in English. I have to try to talk well, but I could not now. Thank you so much for watching the screen. Lucia, how are you? Lewis says, thank you so much for joining. Eva, how are you, Eva? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Eva. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Make the like and subscribing the channel. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys. I really appreciate of you joining to the stream. Make the like and subscribing the channel, guys, and also to write your name off in the chat. And that's okay. Sometimes my SN does not really works. Then I just randomly speak Gabrish. Okay, no problem, my dear. You have to speak English. You know, I can only read English. You know, yeah. The other languages are very hard to understanding. Thank you so much for watching. Antonia, how are you, Antonia? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Antonia. Yeah, I have to speak. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much for still watching. Jessica, you should have to do a super chat and now, my dear. So the watching has been increased, and also the new members is also have to see on the screen, and the super chat have to also remain for a long on our stream. What is your favorite food? Shall I have to eat everything, my dear. I have to never ignore anything. When I have to love to eat everything, I have to like. Alice, how are you, Alice? Thank you so much for joining, Alice. Somaya, how are you, Somaya? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Somaya. I really appreciate, yeah, everything I have to like to eat, my dear. Starry, how are you, Starry? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Starry. I have to respect of you joining, Starry. Rafila, how are you, Rafila? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Rafila. Where are you from watching, Rafila? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Awesome, you are the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome, thank you so much for joining my stream. Awesome, how are you, Awesome? Thank you so much, Jessica. You are also very kind lady, Manuel. Chaton, thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. Pithka, how are you, Pithka? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, my love. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Logan, how are you, Logan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Logan. I really appreciate Arena. How are you, Arena? Thank you so much for joining our stream, Arena. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys, and do a super chat on our stream, guys. Hurry up, guys, to make a small donation on our stream. Yeah, guys, everything every member have to drop the flag of your country. Where are you from watching the screen? Alicia, how are you, Alicia? Thank you so much for joining our stream, Alicia. Thank you so much, Alicia. How are you, my dear? Look, there is an caster friend. Okay, I'm going to write. I have to do. I think actually some comments I have to filter. That's why I cannot. Sometimes they have to send many times and repeating them. This comment has been filtered and disappear on the screen. Alma, how are you, Alma? Thank you so much for joining the stream. Sufin, how are you, Sufin? Thank you so much for joining. I call for my moms and I ask for something, and my son just wine cocoa. Okay, I ask her something, and my son just want cocoa. Okay. Ivan, how are you, Ivan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Ivan. Hurry up to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Lois, how are you, Lois? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I love your live stream. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much, my dear. Maria, how are you, Maria? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys. I really appreciate and respect of your joining to the stream, my dear. Thank you so much, guys. Hurry up to Kare. How are you, Kare? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Kare. Hurry up, guys. Make the like and subscribing the channel. I'm gonna to make a video to back. Okay, Emma. You have to take care of your time, my dear. You should have to make a video for you. For your channel. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Thank you so much for giving me a time on my stream. And I have always to join once first for my stream. You may now can you watch it? Yeah, I have to. I will watch your video, man. Here I was always watch your previous videos. Yeah, don't make a mute video. Yeah, you should have to show anything to have to always try to wear your voice, so the people have to love to watch by the voice, the videos, that when the videos has to goes viral, when you have to something to show to the audience, yeah, and never to make a silence video, man. Here, Alice, how are you, Alice? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Alice. Maria, I have read your name, Maria. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Maria. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you so much for joining. Jessica, are you watching my stream? Hurry up, guys. And January, how are you, January? Thank you so much for joining our stream, January. I really appreciate if you're joining to the stream, January. Thank you so much, Cabri. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Cabri. Hurry up, guys. Brasi, how are you, Brasi? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Brasi. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Yes, I am watching. Thank you so much for watching. Please, Jessica, you have my friend. Listen, when you have to do a super chat, it's a remain on the screen. When you do it right now, it's remain long on a screen. So the new member that have to join, they have to see it on the screen. And please, you have to do it right now, so the new members have to see the super chat, and they have to also to spread the love on the screen, manner. Thank you so much for Cabaret. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for liking my videos, manner. Kara, how are you, Kara? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Kara. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for subscribing. To make the like, guys, and subscribing the channel, guys. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, guys. Make the like and subscribing the channel. Venezuela, how are you, Venezuela? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Paso, how are you, Paso? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Venezuela, how are you, Venezuela? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Allah, yes, deserve and gold medal for the best live stream. You deserve a gold medal for and the best live stream ever. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for appreciating, Jessica. Thank you so much, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for watching the screen. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Princey, how are you, Princey? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Princey. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Rod, how are you, Rod? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Rod. Fatima, how are you, Fatima? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Fatima. Hurry up, guys. Frango, how are you, Frango? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Frango. Hurry up, guys. 8 people is watching the screen, guys. Please make the like and subscribing the channel and appreciate my stream, guys. What is a super chat? My dear, when someone has to do a super chat, yeah, it's an appreciation. When someone has to do a super chat, it's like yeah, when you do it on the screen, and I will also to get it by the YouTube. And you know you should have to pay on by the super chat. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Zozo, hurry up, Zozo. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Zozo. Nine, how are you, Nine? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat. Make the like and subscribing the channel. Thank you so much. And do I have to spend money to yeah, you should have to spend money to give it, my dear. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. Raphael, thank you so much for joining, Raphael. I really appreciate if you're joining to the stream. To make the like and subscribing the channel. Yeah, looks that there. Let me show you on the screen. Yeah, looks that Jessica looks that there you'll be showing an icon of the money. Okay, click on the money, and there you'll be showing a super chat. Okay, click on the super chat. Yeah, and yeah, I have to starting from yeah, I uploaded it. Okay, I will have to yeah. This yeah, as much as you have to encourage, and as will be and show on the screen, you have to purchase it, and to do a super chat. That is it's when you have to collect it, and do a super chat and send a buy icon, then I will receive this super chat. Okay, Emma, I will write your video manual. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emma. I can support chat. You have to make a small donation, please. Jessica, make a small donation, please, my dear. Felice, how are you, Felice? Thank you so much for joining, Felice. I really appreciate if you're joining, Felice. Hurry up, guys, because I have spent money. I need some time permission. Okay, you have to do only $5 to $10. Yeah, as much you have to do if you can easily. You have to do a $5 to $10. Don't make a big super chat on our stream. Yeah, to make a big super chat when you have to money easily, my dear. Just I want to see a small donation on my stream by Jessica. Really, you know, then I have to ask my mom if I can spend money from her bank account. Yeah, you should have to ask your mom. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you, my lovely. Millie, how are you, Millie? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Millie. I really appreciate you make a small donation, my dear. Saju, how are you, Saju? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Saju. Ale, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Likeway, thank you so much for joining to the stream. Likeway, I really appreciate and respect of you joining, my dear. Yeah, guys, to make a like and subscribing the channel. Thank you so much, Millie. How are you, Millie? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Emma, are you watching the stream, Emma? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. She said no, I cannot. So I really cannot support chat, but I can chat her. Jessica, when you got money from the moms, when you got the money from moms. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Kevin, how are you, Kevin? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Kevin. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. Jolene, but I love to support your stream. My mom said, why see, okay, man, thank you. Jolene, how are you, Jolene? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Jolene. How are you, Jolene? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I have to respect after joining us. Hurry up, guys. Lisa, how are you, Lisa? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Lassie, how are you, dear? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Jalia, welcome, Jalia. Where are you from watching, Jalia? Thank you so much for joining my stream, my dear. I wish I will record, but I will get grounded. When you get money from your mom, and I do want to make your day. Thank you so much. You will I hope you will you will make my day one day. I hope. And thank you so much for joining. Ozge, how are you, Ozge? Thank you so much for joining, Ozge. Where are you from watching, Ozge? Easter, how are you, Easter? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Easter. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel, guys. Lalina, how are you, Lalina? Thank you so much for joining. Illy, how are you, Illy? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Lalina, how are you, Lalina? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Lalina. Illy, how are you, Illy? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Illy. Hurry up, guys, to make the like and subscribing the channel. And there is 3 people watching. Yeah, 3 people is watching right now. Evan, how are you, Evan? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Evan. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Alini, how are you, Alini? Thank you so much for joining, Alini. Thank you so much, Alini. Vinit, how are you, Vinit? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Vinit. I'm 7 hours, so I really cannot. Okay, Jessica, no problem, my dear. But I do love your live stream. Thank you so much, my dear. Radvin, how are you, Radvin? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Radvin. Hurry up, guys. Kaden, how are you, Kaden? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Kaden. I really appreciate and respect after joining to the stream. Daman, how are you, Daman? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Daman. Where are you from watching, Daman? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for joining to the stream. I really appreciate and respect after joining. Jammer, how are you, Jammer? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Jammer. Sharma, how are you, Sharma? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Sharma. Madison, how are you, Madison? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Madison. Hold on. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going. I will go within 2 to 3 minutes, my dear. Kamara, how are you, Kamara? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Doggy, how are you, Doggy? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Doggy. Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. How are you, Doggy? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hi, Ansar. How are you, Ansar? Thank you so much for joining my stream. Landero, how are you, Landero? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Landero. Where are you from? Watching my dear. Thank you so much for joining my stream. Hello, Grayson. Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Grayson. Where are you from? Watching, Grayson. Robin, how are you, Robin? Thank you so much for watching my stream, Robin. Sagir, how are you, Sagir? Thank you so much for watching my screen, Sagir. Samir, how are you, Samir? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Samir. Miola, how are you, Miola? Thank you so much for joining my stream, Miola. Larissa, how are you, Larissa? Thank you, Grayson. Larissa, thank you so much for joining to the stream. And Grayson, where are you from watching my screen, Grayson? Hurry up, guys, to write your name in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for watching the screen. Hurry up, guys. Nala, how are you, Nala? Thank you so much for joining to the stream, Nala. Galu, how are you, Galu? Thank you so much for joining to the stream. Okay, guys, I'm going to off right